and that is Dallas Braden. It's also great that he spells his last name correctly, like my first name, Braden. Dallas, what's going on, man?
No, not much. I appreciate the intro, my man. Always a treat to talk baseball, and I think a day to introduce you guys to a couple individuals who have meant a lot to our organization, who have meant a lot to me personally. And I'm while I'm sad, I understand. I'm happy for them, and I'm excited for the San Diego fan base to be able to wrap their arms around a couple key contributors. I can tell you right now that they are going to love.
And we saw it last night. Obviously, the biggest piece in this trade, for the Padres' sake, is Mason Miller. Last night, you guys were doing the game. Mason Miller was not warming up for the ninth inning with the Athletics having a lead. He's got a hoodie on. Mark Kotze, after the game, said he was unavailable. Obviously, you had some tweets last night, kind of seeing the writing on the wall. What was the last 24 hours like for the Athletics and for Mason Miller?
Well, I think it's probably pretty similar to what the last 24, 36, 48 have felt like for the majority of fan bases across the baseball landscape, and that's a lot of anxiousness, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of curiosity, a lot of intrigue, a lot of heartbreak, because you understand where you're at right now. You understand where these players are at in their career. You understand where your organization is at and what you're looking forward to, which is the future. And, however immediate that future might be, I think just continues to be understood that there's a building process that's occurring. And with that, there's going to be a moment where moves have to be made in consideration of that future. And I think that's why it's such a tough moment in time for baseball fans in general, but even for the A's more specifically so, because we understand that this is how things have gone for a long time. And this is something that there was hopes that would change. And I know things don't happen and don't change overnight. And that's something that also has to be understood. I talked about, wanting good pieces, nice pieces of furniture to be able to put into your brand new home when that thing is finally built. Because it's one thing to have a nice house. It's another thing to have nothing to put in it. And I think when you consider yourself somebody who is stockpiling those nice pieces of furniture, that's where you start to hopefully try to make peace with how things are going to transpire, and understanding that you're losing a absolute lockdown beast in Mason Miller is a tough pill to swallow, regardless of where you're at in terms of building towards the future. Because what he provides is elite stuff out of the bullpen, whether it's the sweeper, whether it's the fastball. If he really doesn't like you, he'll start flirting with a changeup on you. And that's what's scary, is it's a guy who's not afraid to tinker, even with some of the game's best stuff coming out of the bullpen for the ninth inning. Nobody throws 100-plus mile-an-hour fastballs more than he does. Nobody's thrown more since the dude's jumped into the league. He is about as guaranteed as it gets in those types of situations. And I understand there's probably been some struggle where he's had to come in for the 10th inning with a placed runner and things of that nature. But this is a guy who has continued to grow in the role that he is in, where let's not forget, he finished fourth in Rookie of the Year as a closer, right? An all-star. Like that's who this type of guy is. And shifting from what he does on the mound, which is miss bats at a high level and just completely dominates in the high leverage moments. This is an incredible human being. I've watched him every day on a road trip for the last years take time out of his schedule to meet with young families, young children who also live with type 1 diabetes, which is something that Mason discovered about himself early on in his collegiate career. That helped turn him into the physical specimen he now is. But for him to have the character that he does, I think a lot of folks understand it's one thing to have some of your best players be really good ball players. It's another thing to have those guys be elite characters as well. And that's who you're getting in Mason Miller, is elite stuff on the mound and a top-tier human being off it.
We're talking with Athletics broadcaster Dallas Braden about obviously the big trade that has happened this morning between the San Diego Padres and the Athletics. A's sending JP Sears and Mason Miller to the Padres, biggest name going back for the Padres to the Athletics was obviously the number one prospect in their organization, Leo DeVries. Well, Dallas, you kind of answered some of the questions I was going to follow up with Mason in terms of what is he like on the field, what is he like off the field. How do you see if the Padres don't make any other moves and they keep Suarez and Dylan Cease, who have been rumored to be traded away, how do you see Mason Miller blending in with the bullpen that the Padres already have assembled?
Well, this is the good thing about having the guy that you're getting in Mason Miller, not only the athlete, but again, the character is, I promise you Mason's response to his arrival is going to be, well, so what do you need from me? How do I fit in? He's not a guy coming into the building telling you how things are going to go. He's a guy entering the building asking how he's going to be able to contribute the most. And if that means in a different role than the one that he's assumed in the green and gold for the last few years, then so be it. He just wants to win. And I think when you have a guy who just wants to win, who's coming along with his stuff, that becomes scary for the rest of the folks who have to deal with that, because I think that can also calm a lot of nerves at times, because you're not sure what kind of guy you're getting when he walks into the building. Are we going to have to tiptoe around this individual's ego? Is there going to have to be a handling of kid gloves just so there's a soft landing for this guy who's in a new place, new scenery, new teammates? And I think you're going to take about 10 minutes and have all of those questions answered for you once you get face to face with that man and you feel his energy, and you feel, because he is, and I'll tell you this, he is sneaky hilarious. You're probably not going to see that early on, but he is a cool, calm, cold-blooded assassin. And I mean that in the nicest way possible, if you can mean it in a nice way, because again, he just wants to come in and help win, help get to the promised land. And that's also what you're getting in JP Sears, because I don't want to leave JP Sears out of this conversation. We're talking about a guy who's made 86 starts over the last 3 years, this year included. So when you talk about needing consistency in moments and in places that you need dependability, look no further than the starting rotation and a guy who can take the ball every 5 days. The sweeper is dialed in. When he starts to really get a feel for the changeup and playing the sinker off out and having the confidence to pitch to contact like he can at times, because he can also miss a lot of bats at times, you're getting a dude who, when you need valuable innings taken care of and accounted for in the rotation, JP Sears has been that dude over the last 2+ years for the A's rotation. And the fact that he doesn't have to pitch in a leadership type role and might be able to just sort of, like he was this year with the addition of a veteran in Severino and Jeffrey Springs, he can kind of slide back and really focus on himself. That becomes something to get excited about, because think about it, kid from the Citadel, highly disciplined. He spends every waking moment trying to get better as a pitcher and just at baseball in general.
I do want to talk about JP Sears a little bit more in a second, and we're talking with Dallas Braden, athletics broadcaster, and a former big leaguer. And Dallas, you made numerous starts at the big league level. You know how difficult it is to do do that task. One of the hardest things to do probably on this planet. And there are some conversations in the past. Mason Miller came up as a starter. There's been some intrigue about maybe moving him back there. I know he had some arm issues when he first kind of started doing that. From your perspective, knowing the guy that Mason Miller is, knowing his stuff, watching him pitch on a daily basis, and knowing what it takes to be a starting pitcher, is that something the Padres could do in the future? Is that something the A's tried to do or maybe thought about in the near future, with Mason Miller just being 26 years old?
I think it's something you could definitely entertain. I think for Mason, understanding who he is as a human being, I know that he wants to be able to impact the game and the team's success as often as possible. And it's tough to do every 5 days as opposed to maybe 3 out of 5 days if things are going well for you. And I know that's something that he values, is being able to sort of account for the workload, meaning I don't want to say that he's extremely routine oriented, but he has a phenomenal handle on his routine and how to make adjustments in that daily routine. And so I think that would translate very well to a 5-day rotation, 5-game sort of routine for him to handle. But I do think that he has found comfort in the role that he's in. But just one more time, going back to who he is as an individual, if you tell him that they think that he can really help their team moving forward, meaning the Padres, in a starting capacity, then he's just gonna ask you, okay, when do we start? how do you want to go about this? Because, I mean, it was his performance as a starter that forced the hand of the front office of the Athletics while in the minor leagues. I mean, it was a seven inning, 12, I think, punch out, might have even been 14 strikeout performance. He didn't allow a hit. It was utterly dominant. And from there, you're like, well, we have to get this guy to the big leagues. There's no other choice. It's swing and miss all day. It's power at the top and the bottom with the wipeout slide piece. I don't care how this plays. It needs to play in the big leagues, though, and that needs to happen now. So now that you've seen what you've seen and you know what he's capable of, I don't want to say it's, sort of a pick your poison. How do you want to deploy him? Because he's a human being, and he's going to take some time to get back to a place of buildup in a starting capacity. But I do think that having Mason Miller available to impact the baseball game or the series or a long stretch multiple times as opposed to just a couple out of the rotation, I think you like that.
Last thing for you, Dallas. I mean, you mentioned JP Sears a little bit. I want to, make sure Padres fans know enough about JP Sears too, because you know how these trades work out. Sometimes the headliner is not the big move as the years progress. What is one reason why Padres fans should be super excited about JP Sears joining Mason Miller in a Padres uniform?
Because the best ability is availability, and JP Sears has been available every 5 days. As accountable as the sunrise and sunset, you can book it. And he wants to get better just like Mason. And the fact that you have a dude who can take the ball every 5 days and wants to be better than the last time he took it, that has to excite you. He's not somebody who just wants to take it, chuck and duck for 5 and fly and get out of there and let the offense do the rest of the heavy lifting. He wants to put the game on his shoulders. So you have two incredible competitors. You have two incredible human beings coming your way. Wrap your arms around them. Take care of those boys for me, San Diego fans, because you've got two great ones.
Nothing fires me up more, Dallas Braden, than listening to Dallas Braden talk about human beings and baseball players and baseball in general. That got me excited. I appreciate the time, and I know A's fans are going to be excited about Leo DeVries. I know you're going to be, greeted by what is a very mature 19-year-old when he arrives, whenever he does, to the big league level. So I know A's fans will be excited about him, and some of the arms, Dallas, you're going to like as well.
I've done the homework.
A's way.
We've got power arms. We got a young kid in Leo who's a switch hitting athlete. I've already got the ear to the street. I've had eyeballs on him. The reports come back extremely glowing. So I am very excited about what the future holds for him, as well as the rest of the guys who are blowing hundos coming over to the green and gold. So I'm excited about the return as well. I think it's a true win-win.
I think so too. And plus you got another Braden coming the way. So that's also great too. Dallas, appreciate the time, man.
Anytime.